Hello, we're pleased to be with you. So the Internet of Things is certainly also changing our society. And the question comes up now, would we be self-controlled or remotely controlled? Certainly the automation of society is next. Now within just a minute, we produce about 500,000 Facebook posts. We ask 700,000 Google queries. We move, we go shopping. All of that produces a lot of data, big data. In fact, within just a year, we're producing as much data as in the entire history of humankind. And in future, with the Internet of Things, data will double every 12 hours. Now, people are saying data is the new oil. Of course, you can create a lot of profit from this. And some people are asking, what else could we do with all these data? Chris Anderson has suggested, with all this data, we don't need theory and science anymore. Is this really true? Can we know everything with all the data that's now available? Could we perhaps even build a crystal ball? A crystal ball that can see what happens throughout the world in real time, or even predict what's going to happen in the future. And with all that data, would it be possible to optimize the world to rule it like a wise king or a benevolent dictator? That's the question. So could society be run like a giant machine? Well, for this we would think we just need to know all the pieces, how they interact with each other, and how we can interfere with the system. And in fact, companies like Google are thinking about these kind of things. They want to reprogram the state. And just very recently, you may have read this news over here. IBM Watson is running for president. Who of you would like to be governed by IBM Watson? Please raise your hands. I see one hand. Okay. But anyway, we need to discuss about these things. I believe the automation of society is next. There are different ways to automate society. And I recommend you to read this book because this is looking at these different ways. So what's on the way is that all the data that are being collected about us are being used for deep learning algorithm to find out about our thoughts, our feelings, our motivations, our behaviors. And that kind of information allows companies like Google to manipulate our choices by means of personalized information. So whenever you surf on the web, whenever you use a recommender system, you get personalized information that basically guides your attention and makes you do certain kind of things, to some degree at least, right? But if you look at these kind of pictures, then it's pretty clear that to some extent we are already remotely controlled by information. And of course, that kind of technology that's being used for personalized advertisement is also interesting for politics. Over there it's called nudging. The question is, how well does nudging work actually? And it turns out it's not going to make all of us healthy, it's not going to solve all the environmental issues and so on. And so some people are thinking about further steps to be taken, including China, for example. And they're coming up with a citizen score. So basically every citizen would have a kind of bank account with points, and whatever you do gets you plus points or minus points. You repay your credit on time, but also when you're clicking on the web, or whether that's kind of politically favorable to the government or not, and also what your friends are doing. This is actually what is part of the citizen score in China, and it's not so difficult to implement that in other countries too. So certainly that would be culturally fitting our Western democracy as well, but unfortunately we see developments recently in Turkey, in Poland, and in France that are kind of turning away from democratic principles. So we need to take these things very seriously, because otherwise we might be run in a data-driven way. Not just governments, but every one of us will be run in a data-driven way. So we will be remotely controlled. And for that reason, I think we need to talk about the implications of these technologies. We should ensure democratic control by the parliament. We should ensure scientific use, ethical use, transparency, security, and other things. And this is important because what really counts for our future is innovation. And innovation happens in a bottom-up way. Innovation requires freedom, and innovation is driven by diversity, actually. So whatever is green over here are the most innovative areas of the world. This is where new ideas are born and challenge old ideas. And we know that the most diverse economies are also the most successful ones. So diversity is really important. So it's not this kind of paradigm on the left, which I believe will lead us into a better future where every person or bird or species, is given a certain place and told what to do. But this is actually on the right how real swarms of flocks of birds work. They work in a self-organized way. There is nobody telling them what to do. And this is what allows them to adapt flexibly to whatever situation they're confronted with. So flocks of birds are organized in a bottom-up way. And I think we should count on this collective intelligence that is also part of our societies, and we could enhance it, of course, with data, with artificial intelligence systems, and so on. But it should be serving us. We should control it, as this in a sense. So when we're trying to remotely control people's behaviors, we also need to take into account that actually a lot of research findings turn out to be wrong, and that is a problem that comes with statistics, right? For example, if you have a lot of data, then by the sheer amount of data, there are patterns in these data, and they don't have to be actually meaningful. The more data you have, the more overfitting problems you have. And anyway, this kind of big nudging can't do innovation and anything that relates to interaction between people. I mean, society is not just the sum of its parts with us and our individual behaviors, but it's about interaction, right? So family, friends, solidarity, culture, peace, financial stability, jobs for all, I think cannot be solved by big nudging. And we are now confronted with this digital revolution. Computers will potentially overtake human capacity within just a few years or decades, depending on the experts you ask. But in any case, jobs will be challenged. About 50% of today's jobs will be gone in 10 to 20 years. And in fact, we see that already in a number of countries, such as Spain and Greece, where more than 50% of young people are already unemployed. But if you think this is just a challenge for employees, that's not true. In fact, 40% of today's top 500 companies will also be gone in 10 years. So this is a major challenge for the entire society. It's a historical challenge, comparable to the transition from the agricultural society to the industrial society, and from there to the service society. Unfortunately, these transitions have never been smooth in the past. They've come along with financial and economic crisis and also revolutions and wars. And that's certainly something we don't want to happen. So we need to make things much better than in history. We need to learn from history. We need to be very smart to avoid mistakes that would lead to social and political disruption. But certainly our society and our economy now are in a transformation process, right? So that goes through certain stages, and in the end, hopefully, it will be like a beautiful butterfly with a better world. And the question is how to get there. And I think The approach that we should take should be based on self-determination, democracy, and free entrepreneurship. And that can be fostered actually by distributed data storage and control. And as I will argue, the Internet of Things technology could be used exactly in that way. And why am I talking about distributed control here? Because we have a number of exponential laws. Every 18 months, processing power is actually doubling. But the amount of data is increasing even faster, and that creates a situation where there's a gap between the data that you can produce and the data that you can process. I call that dark data, and the percentage of dark data is increasing all the time. So you need to know what data to process, what data to look at. Otherwise, you would overlook really important things. And that, in the end, requires science again, right? But there's another issue. As we go on networking the world, now we can create new services and products, and actually more and more of these services and products. We have an combinatorial explosion of possibilities, and that increases systemic complexity even faster than data volumes. And as a result of this, eventually, we couldn't control that complex world in a top-down way anymore. We would need more and more distributed control approaches, and the Internet of Things is exactly the right kind of technology. It's the key enabling technology, but we need to combine it with complexity science as well. So the interesting thing is that everyone is actually already able to use this Internet of Things, even if we haven't consciously bought products. Our smartphone has about 15 sensors in it, and we could actually use it to connect all those smartphones with each other, and in this way create a global measurement system that will create data, and as we'll argue, potentially data for everyone. So I'm now not talking about Internet of Things applications in industry. Of course, companies would do that by themselves, and I'm now talking about societal scope applications. But if we do such a thing, we would really like to have a system that we can trust, I believe. And that requires a particular approach that IBM calls device democracy, when they talk about saving the future of the Internet of Things. And what I'm proposing here is that we should run the societal-wide applications by the citizens themselves, as a citizen web. And we should have informational self-determination built in these systems. So our nervousness system, for example, allows you really to control the sensors, which sensors you want to open up, which data you want to use just for yourself, for example, for smart home applications, or what data you're ready to share with other people to build these data commons that everyone could use. So the idea is to create a participatory system, because if we create new opportunities for everyone, do that in the right way, then enabling users, customers, citizens will lead to better services, better products, better businesses, better neighborhoods, smarter cities, and smarter societies. And with a micropayment system, we could even allow everyone to establish their own business. And that will be really important, given that a lot of old jobs will be gone. So we need to think about how to create new jobs, right? So with big data and artificial intelligence, we'll see a lot of rationalization happen, and that takes away all the old jobs, as I said before. And so we have basically rebuilt 50% of our economy. How would that look like? And that would be the digital economy, the immaterial economy in a sense. It's built on data, on information, on knowledge, on wisdom, and actually built on different kinds of principles. Co-creation will be particularly important over here. Because actually, sharing information can make it more valuable. That's very different from material goods. So we should create powerful information an innovation and production ecosystem together, where people can combine existing services and products to build new services and products, and in this way also produce new jobs. And this is not a dream, we can actually do that together. We have started that. Our project is called NervousNet. It's entirely open source. You can contribute in 3 ways. You can contribute with producing data, crowdsourcing we could say. You can add own ideas to this platform, make it more powerful, like Linux, Wikipedia, OpenStreetMap. But also you can build apps on top of this Internet of Things data stream that we would jointly create. It could be games, that could be services, it could be products. And of course that is very exciting. We can use our smartphone as a radar system. We can use it to detect objects, and to demonstrate that we have created a small game called Treasure Hunt. Not extremely sophisticated, but fun and anyway good enough to demonstrate what can be done. But you can do, of course, much more with this NervousNet. Real-time measurement of the world around us is one key feature. Creating greater awareness would be another feature, and advancing science, in particular complexity science, would be a third feature. Empowering self-organization, a fourth feature, and finally supporting collective intelligence. So I want to go through all this shortly. It's really important now that we learn to measure externalities. We have to reach these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals within just 15 years. How should we do this? It's really important that we measure all those external effects of interactions of people, of companies, and with the environment, and that we increase positive externalities, reduce negative ones, and ensure fair compensation. And so we can use our smartphones, for example, for noise mapping. We can do luminosity mapping. And we could also map the environment, how it changes, and the cause of that change. We can do that actually in a crowdsourced way. We can map resources, we use them. And in fact, we're working on an app that's called SwarmPulse that allows people to do geolocated measurements of noise or light, or also send geolocated text. It could be links also to photographs or to movies. And so it becomes imaginable to you that we all together would map the world around us. So it's really like measuring the world 2.0, and that gives you an idea how it could work. So using, for example, all the photographs that are uploaded by people at Flickr, it's possible to reconstruct buildings in 3D from your desk at home. And we can do that actually for every building in the entire cities and the entire world. And that's now becoming feasible, right? So you see the perspective of crowdsourcing. We can produce greater awareness, we can create new compasses for decision makers and make things visible that we can't see and feel with our senses, such as social capital, reputation, trust, solidarity, compliance, things that are important actually for our society and the economy, but we couldn't see and quantify well before. We can map crisis, and also we can respond to crisis much better with all these Internet of Things technologies. For example, we can use our smartphones to measure vibration, and if all our smartphones would start shaking, that must be an earthquake. So we would want our smartphone to warn our friends and family and colleagues to get out in a safe place, and also would like to have tools that help us actually to help ourselves and help our friends and neighbors and everyone else. So peer-to-peer systems that help to coordinate resources in situations of disasters, and maybe also on an everyday basis. Now, interestingly enough, complexity science allows us now to understand and use the hidden forces behind self-organization in our society and our economy. So we can learn to let socioeconomic systems work for us, as we've learned actually to build motors. We can use these forces for us and let them create functionalities like magic based on self-realization. So 300 years after the invention of the invisible head, we can now finally make it work with Internet of Things and the use of complexity science. And the trick is that we need to create feedback loops, the right kinds of feedback loops, and that we can do that on multiple levels. And to create the feedback loops, we need a particular multidimensional incentive and value exchange system. That means something that I call Finance 2.0, a new financial system that would be multi-dimensional to enable all those fantastic possibilities. And in fact, we could build that on Bitcoin and blockchain technology. And so, to summarize basically what it takes to get there, we need to identify the right kind of interactions that would produce automatically, by self-optimization, these wonderful properties and structures and functionalities of multi-component systems. And we would need to do real-time measurement and create these feedbacks in order to produce those functionalities. And one of these applications are overcoming traffic jams, like this over here. If I had enough time, I would show you that by changing the interactions between those cars, using radar sensors, for example, and automatic driving, we can actually get rid of those traffic jams. So mechanism design is the issue. And that system that's actually getting rid of the traffic jams later on in this video is based on distributed control. So we don't need to have a control center. And the same thing over here for urban traffic light control. We came up again with a distributed control approach that is beneficial for all modes of transport, has huge benefits, 30 to 40% improvement, and also benefits for the environment. Again, distributed control, and it also becomes important in smart grids and also in Industry 4.0, where now basically the products can talk to each other, and they could talk also to the machines and say, you need to do this with me. And they could tell the other products, no, I'm really in a hurry, I need to overtake. So all of that now becomes possible. So a very simple approach can actually be applied also to improve our society. Elinor Ostrom, a Nobel Prize winner, has actually shown that self-governance can be efficient if you just have the right kind of design principles. And reputation systems, for example, are of this kind, that they really can support the self-organization of society. So it's now the time to build these digital assistants that would help us actually to overcome together many of the problems, to interact with other people and companies and the environment in a more favorable way, and to have tools that make us more successful in all those complicated, diverse interactions that we're confronted with in a highly diverse world. And actually we can also use a lot of the success principles of cultures in the world if we just understood them better. So this is really coming down to creating collective intelligence. We need to learn to build platforms that help us to bring the best ideas of many minds together, and also artificial intelligence. So there would be really networks of smart agents. And the important point over here is really that not the best single strategy wins, but the combination of strategy. That means diversity is really winning in a complex world. So for this we need to build online deliberation platforms, and that would be really important also for modern governments to involve the citizens and their knowledge locally. And that comes down to the challenge to build digital democracy. So how to now create jobs and earn money in the future? Well, of course, information and knowledge production will be important, creative work, much more important, personalized products, co-creation, network thinking. As I said before, it's really important to think about the future society and economy as an ecosystem. And it's important to realize that this digital economy is not a zero-sum game. Now, in the material world, if I want to have more, somebody else has to give away something. This is not true in the information world. So we can really produce a catalyst that allows us to make more out of it. So we can turn the digital desert where there are just a few big IT giants into something like a digital rainforest where everyone can live in abundance in a sense, and the biggest trees are even bigger. So that can be beneficial to everyone if you just come up with the right kind of principle. So I imagine the future to be a networked, well-coordinated system of largely autonomous systems, and the Internet of Things will help us to make those systems efficient and to coordinate them. So let's do that together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kelvin. So I think we've got time for just I'm going to come over here for a change of scenery. So I think we've got time for a couple of questions from the audience. So if you want to raise your hand if you've got a question. One in the front here.
Hi, thank you for the very insightful, interesting presentation. Two quick questions. The first one is, are these slides available for our use somewhere? And second of all, at the ETH in Zurich, are you involved in the current venture program of the ETH as a reviewer of some sort?
So the first point is I'm making my slides available. Actually, the recording is also, you find it in the Future ICT YouTube channel. Second point is no, I'm not involved, and maybe that would be a better idea. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Fourth row back.
I just want to say it was an excellent presentation. I just don't see governments getting on board. We have centralized power now. I don't know how you would get past that kind of,
Right, so
like Cameron wanting to separate from the EU, Trump wanting to block all those ones, and there's a great big, lot of political barriers to what you're suggesting.
I can sense this, but I think it's important to understand that the digital revolution will happen in two phases. The first phase is really this automation, everything is becoming more efficient, but also that creates this potential mass employment, and that will make the situation uncontrollable. So we need to have this second phase that again builds up new jobs, and we need to complement the top-down system that we have by a lot of bottom-up structures to really enable people to make contributions to this better world. This cannot be fixed just in a top-down way. So we need to understand that we need to build the second half of this to get into this better world.
Thank you.
I'm going to break the rules of timing and then try and squeeze one more question if someone's got one. Anyone got a last question? Okay, gentleman at the back.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I'm just interested in you were talking about morals and ethics in society. What options are there for the people who kind of want to opt out of the whole IoT sphere? Where obviously there's some huge advantages to enhance life, but what if people just don't want to be involved, and will there be any possible kind of discriminatory kind of situations for those people who don't want to be involved?
There's a nice book, unfortunately it's written in German, it's called Offliner. It looks at different kinds of scenarios and different kinds of people. And one kind of people, for example, would be focusing on recycling according to that author. And certainly I think it's really important that we still have these niches for different kinds of people pursuing different goals to sustain diversity. Because, as I said, diversity is really important for a number of reasons. First of all, to drive innovation, but also for collective intelligence, and most importantly, for societal resilience. Because we will go through disruptive times, and for our society to do well in these times, it needs to be able to flexibly adapt. It needs to have a lot of different solutions that can be scaled up depending on what we need in the situation that we find ourselves. So building resilient societies is important, and for this diversity is highly important, and enabling people to make contributions in a flexible, adaptive way. This is important. I think if we don't take that into account, running the world can end in a terrible disaster.
On that note, thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Irving. It was great.